I'm Chris Parsons, and I have the beautiful team with me. We're here to have another great podcast. Johnny, did we get the number? Eight, nine?
I think it's 8.
I think it's eight. Perfect. I'm pretty sure it's eight as well. Thanks for joining us this morning, or whenever you're going to view this, morning, afternoon, evening, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's all going to be good. So we're going to talk about AI this morning. I know it's a hot topic. We've already done one about one one of our podcasts about this topic and got some feedback and wanted to go a little bit deeper into this topic. And last week I wrote an article about AI and how I thought about this kind of comparison to what comes first, chicken and the egg. And what I meant by that was, how do you write now? When you consider your content strategy for your website, your products, your brands, typically you would just go and make sure that you had all of your tagging right, your SEO structure correct, and voila, customers would find you on search. And if they didn't, if you weren't on the first couple of pages, you would just sponsor ads and you would get there. But now I think about this, how we write for AI, and that's the key that struck me is, how are we writing for AI? Are we writing for the customer first, or do we write for an algorithm to pick us up and then show our articles and our product information to the customer? And it's kind of tongue in cheek because ultimately we have to write for our customer. But the practice and the theory about how you go and get indexed is definitely writing for an algorithm first versus customer content. And I wanted some dialogue on that topic. So go check out the article, give me some of your thoughts, but we're going to dive into it and see what the team thinks about how everything is changing. And I'll start with Tara.
I think it's incredibly fascinating right now when you look at AI and writing for it, relevancy ranking, et cetera, and how similar it is to the journey we all went on with SEO. Really trying to build content that allowed us to rank that, when Google scrapes our site, making sure that we rank higher than our competitors. All of these elements that have become so key in how we build out our website. Now we're at the beginning of how LLMs are starting to view our brands, our products, how we talk about it. And it's so completely different and foreign for retailers and brands to create content, because what works in Google isn't necessarily what drives relevancy and ranking in the LLMs, any of them. And all of the LLMs give relevancy differently. So it's become so complex. And I think a lot of brands and retailers are just struggling with the first question of, how do I present? How am I ranking? Like, when it's not just going in and doing a simple prompt of, who has the laptop I need, and having, the 3 or 4 big retailers show up. It's become so different, and it has become focused on the customer. So I think, Chris, we've always said customer is king. Now content for customer has become queen, if I can put it that way.
I love that. And I think all of us are starting to use this term of AMOD, which we're kind of writing a white paper on right now, and it's the AI moment of discovery. And it's a clear distinction between all the other historical ways customer would discover items. And with AMOD, you really are discovering products. It's not with a lot of intent in your searches that you're searching for a specific brand or a specific um, elements. You're putting in use cases now about what you're looking for, and those use cases are basically telling you and delivering results that you may never have searched a specific brand, a size, a color that you may not even have wanted to wear in clothing historically. But because you're giving this prompt, it's allowing you to go deeper into all kinds of rabbit holes of what you should wear, what you should buy for your home. And you really are discovering versus searching for a specific, I want a blue hat, and blue hats become what's served up to you. So it's really fascinating. David, I'm going to start with you on some of your thoughts on this. You're probably more technical from a perspective than a lot of us. And I think it's important for the audience to hear from your magical mind.
Well, I know my technical capacity compared to the three of you, Chris, but I have been geeking out on this stuff for a little while, and I think, like, let's compare the two, right? SEO is search engine optimization, GEO is generative engine optimization. It's really about the interface that we're interacting with, right? Like ranking in search or showing up in a GPT like ChatGPT or Claude or two, different interfaces, but they share a lot of the same back end, functionality or things that we would want to achieve. So it's not as different as, I think most people make it out to be, where it's like we got this world of SEO and this world of GEO. There's a lot of overlap between the two, but there's a subtlety that goes into it that I think is interesting to explore, right? In the world of search engines, we'd be building a reputation off-site by having backlinks. High reputation websites that referred to us and posted our link made us look good by reputation. It's the art of showing up, on the right websites is reputationally positive for you. And so that would help increase or boost search engine rankings. In GEO, it doesn't work like that. In GEO, it's about citation. What do people say about you? That's why Reddit is such a good source for showing up in GPTs, because that's community based. It's really hard to seed that. It's really hard for a marketer to step in and influence the outcomes. It's mostly about the interface that we interact with. That's what drives the difference in kind of technical execution or how we write.
Yeah, it's great that you brought up Reddit. I've been finding that through social listening, it's also impacting what's being served up on AI, which, customers would go and they would go into different forums and talk about their great experience or the poor experience with a brand, a product, etc. And I see the LLMs are really referencing a lot of those type of subforms versus a standard article that we would write as a brand. And from there, Johnny, I know you've been sitting there patiently. Thankfully, my internet, you guys should have seen what we went through this morning to get this podcast started. But thankfully, my internet stayed stable enough for us to get to Johnny this morning. Hey, bud, we're all dying to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. I'm going to try to answer a couple of things in under 3 minutes. So timing. One of them is definition. Two of them is kind of adding to what Dave said on the GEO. And third is maybe a use case to help people can think about this. So not everyone is an expert listening to this podcast, right? So let's dive into LLM is large language model for those that don't know. SEO, I'm sure you do. It's search engine optimization. Dave mentioned GEO, generative engine optimization. That's how you appear in AI search. And then there's AEO, so answer engine optimization, which is, I'm just going to use Google AI overview, which is kind of taking clicks away from your organic, potentially your ads. Okay, those are the definitions. Now, Dave answered about how to appear or what GEO looks for on the AEO side, answer engine optimization. It's getting your expertise pulled in. So think about how your brands or how your customers are asking for things. So you want to be there, like FAQs, the how-tos, that's really important for this because that might be how your customers are speaking and asking you stuff. Now, in terms of a couple of use cases to test out, I would, do this on Google, organic, see how your SEO is, Google AI overview, see how that is, and then go into, ChatGPT or Claude or whoever else and see how you are appearing for a term like, what are the best jeans to wear at the office? Or what is the best digital marketing agency in Canada I should be using to improve paid media? And see what happens, right? That's how you know if some of the things you're doing are working, and there's plenty of tools out there that can even rank your relevance on this. But that's kind of my 3 cents on this in under 3 minutes. I don't know if I passed.
You did.
Yes.
Pretty sure you did.
Chris, you're on mute if you're trying to say something. I know you loved what I said.
This is a morning, that's for sure. Johnny, I was giving you a bunch of flowers, but that's done with now. No, I think it's great to actually level set on this, and I should level set on AI mod, the moment of discovery, because a lot of people don't know the history of Procter and Gamble and the first moment of truth and how that was 70s, 80s, into the 90s, and how customers would discover products basically at shelf or through word of mouth. And then we evolved to Google and Google coming out with the zero moment of truth in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. And I would suggest anyone to go back and read the zero moment of truth. And that's why we're coming out with the white paper on AI moment of discovery and showing how the three evolved. And not that any of them were replaced because we all shop differently. All of them have their moment still, but there's distinction between each of them. And I think that was important for us to help people with that clarity and level set as well. So great way to level set everyone, Johnny. Tara, I'm going to go back to you on this topic this morning because I know that you and I have been chatting offline, and there's a lot of great conversations that we've been having on this.
Mm-hmm. And I love what Johnny's saying around, go out and audit your brand. And I've been doing a lot of auditing for some of the founders that we work with. And one of the tools and a partner of ours that I'm using is LLM Butler. And I use it now for every retailer, every brand, all the services out there because I'm fascinated to see how brands are ranking across all of the LLMs. So it's a tool that will go and it will actually prompt out into the LLMs and ask questions about your category, about your product, about your brand, about your competitors, and it will come back and it'll let you know how you're being perceived. Are you being cited? Are you actually is your product surfacing in any way? How do you compare against your competitors when it comes to discovery through any of the LLMs? And it's absolutely incredible because it then goes and gives you recommendations in the back end of your website. How is your content being built? What does your schema look like? Do you have FAQs? And it will give you a list of ways that you can improve your website, your content, your products, so that you can present and be cited more frequently, more often. And the incredible thing about this tool is that it tracks your changes. So if you take the recommendations, you go in, you update your website, you update your content, you push out new blogs, new FAQs. You can actually go and run an audit again in a few days and see, has this made an impact? And it's just been incredible for the beta group that we've been working with that actually is seeing immediate results from the actions that they're taking. So I'm excited to be partnered with someone like that at the beginning of this because we all are geeking out on it. I was saying I'm vibe coding now. What is that all about? I have no idea, but I'm doing it. So it's been an incredible experience. And I think for brands and retailers and the people that are listening to our podcast, the auditing and the monitoring is going to be key because this is moving quickly. I think we're at the flat of the hockey stick, but we're about to hit the spike. And you want to be here at the beginning now versus reacting in Q4.
I
Yeah,
know
that's
you
great
mentioned
points.
vibe coding at like I was at the hockey arena the other day and I saw Dad in his computer and I see like some code up and I just looked at him like Claude and he's like, yeah.
Right. We're all coders. We're all coders now.
Just to go on to that, like LLM Butler and all these other things that we have at our disposal. You remember, like we were all digital marketers, I guess like late '90s, early 2000s, right? And you really had you had some SEO. Email was kind of coming up. Social wasn't yet there, right? And it was like website content. And the best digital marketers kept adding to their portfolio, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to learn on paid. I'm going to learn on ecom, on CRO and all these testing and everything else. And you just kept adding to it. And now I'm going to do my P&Ls for e-commerce. And this is the same thing, right? It's just like the best marketers are going to keep adding these tool sets and these platforms and helping out figure out ways to execute an action on all this stuff that we have at our disposal. Search has changed more in the last year than in the last decade. Think of
Right.
that just for search, what that means. Really good
Okay.
opportunity.
That's where the friction comes in too, right, Johnny? Is because your bag of tricks has to be so vast today, and just keeping up with even the releases from Anthropic over the past couple of weeks, right? If you're using Cowork I'm doing all my taxes with Cowork right now, and I can scan every document and have it do my bookkeeping for me, right? It's remarkable. The pace is just really, really hard. I think that's where like communication, group and community, having the opportunity to interact with other people that are doing cool things or staring over somebody's shoulder at a hockey game. It's pretty valuable because we're learning all the time.
Yeah. Johnny, I was asked a question. I'm part of a CMO group, and well, it wasn't asked specifically to me, but I can't hold back with my opinion. So it was asked to the group, and the CMO group was asked, I'm leading a big team. We're starting to discover AI. I feel like my passion for AI is greater than the team that is reporting to me. I don't want to micromanage them, but I want them to discover, leverage it, and use it without telling them the how. And the question came about is like, how do you lead your team this day and age with this new technology? Lots of people want to grow their careers. They want to stay relevant in an organization. Should this be something that someone is motivated to do on their own versus you have to say, lay out a project plan or a growth plan for them? What are your thoughts on that question, and how would you deal with a team today with this new era?
We're first starting out in retail, and the company I was working at did not let employees on Facebook. You guys remember that, right? They would,
Yep.
right? And I was like, wait a minute. You expect my digital marketing team to not be on social media platform? Like, this is what we do. Like, that's a part of our job. And they opened it up. And slowly, right? You've seen companies, and that's not really a thing anymore. Like, you're allowed going on social media platforms whenever you want, right? And I feel like this is one of those areas too where companies are embracing it, but also questioning some things that come back to them. Let's say an employee sends them a presentation. They're like, is this all AI? So I think it's like, on one side, they're like, we got to go all in on AI. And then they're also like, are my employees just doing AI and not anything else? And I think there's a nervousness there on the employee side for that. But I would say, you have to encourage it as a boss or as a company. You have to encourage it, because just like there's ways to go on Facebook when your company says no, it's the same thing. Like, their employees are going to be using it, and maybe they're not admitting that they're using it. And that's where the differentiator becomes like, how do you communicate whatever AI gives you? It's still about the communication in that. And going back to your point, like as a CMO or as an employee, how they get better, use that AI, but you still got to communicate that project, right? It's not just a copy paste from AI and then you're done. You still have to review it and you still have to communicate it. But I would urge companies to urge their employees that AI is going to be a extremely helpful tool right now, and not to get too behind, right? You don't want to start this in 6 or 7 months. You want to start it now. And even if it's slowly, like Dave's working with a couple of government entities to train them, right? And if the government says now is the time, pretty sure every business should say now is the time.
I think it's really
David got
important for businesses to take a leadership role in it too, Johnny. I mean, like, don't be passive and say, well, maybe it's happening. Maybe of course it's happening. I used to bait people doing keynotes last year where I'd be like, how many people in the audience use an AI every day? And about 80% of people would put up their hand, 50 to 80%. It gradually through the year got, a lot more hands would go up in the room. And then I would ask, how many of you use it for business every day? And sheepishly, a couple people would put up their hands. I'm like, come on, of course you are. Of course we all are, because it makes us more productive and more efficient. So it's naive to think that we wouldn't be. But you have to be a good steward, right? Like your organization needs to step up and be the ones who provision the tools and write the acceptable use policy for how you're going to use it. Figure out how you're going to integrate AI into your operation. Don't cover your hands over your ears and hope it's not happening, or just let it happen but not have some control over it, because there are security issues that come along with it, right? There's sensitive data that you're sharing with third-party platforms. So we do have to be conscious of that. I think it's on the organization to play a leadership role.
Right. I think a question I have for all of you today is, when you think about all the stuff a marketing team, a retailer has going on, where would you prioritize AI versus personalization, content management, product SKU, data information for your website, hell, even logistics and negotiating new rates for your e-commerce platform so you can convert better? Out of all the things that we have going on, is it infrastructure and going back to the basics? Where would you rank AI, and how much of it you should be doing, or the priority of, hey, let's double down on this now, versus because of the fluctuations of AI and how fast it's evolving, it's a little bit more cautious approach? I would love to understand how each of you think on this.
This is
I
my
know we didn't prepare for this, so
Yeah, my common answer is it depends. It really depends on the size of your organization. Where are you at? What is your tech debt? If you are an organization that doesn't have a CRM right now, or a website, you're not going to prioritize AI, but it's certainly going to complement. I do think, to Johnny's point, learning and having people within your organization learning about it and keeping up with it. Maybe it's not being implemented in inventory or supply chain or logistics. You need to have someone who is being informed and learning about everything that is happening. So when you are ready as an organization, you're not trying to scramble and go back in time.
I love that. Do you think, though, But I see, Johnny, I think you want to say something, but do you think as well that it needs to be part of a project roadmap going forward versus just something that happens organically? Interesting, right? Like where do we put this? Johnny, I know you're got something on your mind there.
It's similar. So remove AI for a second, right? Hey team, how do we increase revenue? Let's say it's an e-commerce site, right? How do we increase revenue? All right, we got personalization, we got testing, we got 3 email campaigns, we got a triggered campaign, our abandoned cart flow is not working, we got a welcome series, we got a bounce back email, we got trigger flows if they're exit intent, like reviews, hey, let's get more reviews. Hey, Dave mentioned Reddit, we got to be on Reddit. Now we have AI. Right. So you've layered something in to something we were already doing. We were already inundated with all this stuff to help us improve. Now you have kind of like a co-pilot there.
Mhm.
We're doing more. We're doing things quicker. We're doing things more efficiently. I'm someone that says, show me the revenue. And I'll give you an example. So as you know, like I have an agency called High Voltage Digital. We have one of the brands that we're working with. I had a call with them yesterday. Rather than telling them certain things that we could do, using AI, I pulled some data and took a cohort of customers that have bought certain items and have not bought a higher priced item. And I took this customer list and it was 110 customers. We could email to 84 of them. We spun it off into an email for another incentive that wasn't a dollar amount. And that's the beauty of AI. There's something tangible and actionable there to do that didn't take a lot of time, but it's actioned. Like it could have been easy to just run this report for fun and be like, hey, here is, thousands of customers that done this. What do you do with that?
Mhm.
And so now, like I said, AI is that co-pilot that helps us get to that answer quicker. But again, you got to action it to get that revenue. Yes, you're just sitting there with like droves of AI ocean data that just sits there.
I think that's the moment in time right now is that we've been saying for decades that we have all this data. We don't know what to do with it. Well, now you do. Now you know how to visualize it. Now you know how to prioritize it. And I think pulling those actions out is easier than it's ever been. Just two thoughts that I have on it to answer your question, Chris. I mean, create a culture of innovation. Don't let it happen. Be responsible for it, right? People actually they're curious. They want to learn too. You should guide them to it, make it easy for them, create that culture, get collaboration going as people learn off one another, and it creates a ton of momentum in an organization. I've trained a few. And the ones that do this well do it because like leadership is involved. It's not organic. To run lockstep with what Johnny said, I think now we can prioritize, right? I think this has been the hardest part of our career over the past couple of decades is looking at it all and understanding what mattered most. And we have relied on reporting. Sometimes it would take weeks or months to get reports to say, well, here's how our actions are impacting outputs. And e-commerce sped that process up a bit, but it's been largely reactive. Using AI, we're watching insights in real time, right? So I can look at thousands, tens of thousands of different numbers, and it can be processing it for me. And it can tell me that it is a conversion rate optimization focus that we should have, or it is a traffic generation focus. All those things are at our fingertips, and we don't have to wait for a report to get sent by the agency at the end of the month. We can be told those things in real time. So I think we're evolving out of a reporting businesses and more into insights businesses, which is super exciting. Never could have done it with human hands involved.
Mhm.
Hey, and question on that, okay? Because I just came back from Shop Talk, like a conference, right? Big conference on the digital side, and AI was front and center. But I feel like a lot of businesses are leading with AI, right? Like I don't know if that's the right approach. I'll be very honest. Like it's a business, right? Like I don't know the sense of like, hey, we're an AI merchandise company. Hey, we're an AI-led marketing agency. Hey, I'm not all for that, right?
Agreed.
It's a
About 80% of
business.
the about 80% of the booths that you see have pivoted to say agentic something now,
Mhm.
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
again, that's not the problem. The problem isn't the sheer amount of AI that we have access to, because my goodness, we have a lot and it's cheap. It's still like, find problems and find solutions partners. But I think that's a shift in the software marketing spectrum more than anything else. It's like, no, we're not selling solutions anymore. We're selling AI. And yeah, you nailed it, John. It's a little bit wading through the thousands and thousands of logos that are out there right now to actually match up with something that you need
Mhm.
is art unto itself.
Mhm.
That's what I think Tara's point about for each organization, it really depends on their maturity, where they're at, both from a retailer side and from a technical provider side. And I would encourage anyone listening, leverage this group. We've lived in the technology side and we've lived in the retail, CMO, marketing, merchandising, operations. We've lived in those. So we can help give you a perspective of where you kind of should prioritize yourself. And even for all those guys developing Johnny to an AI platform first, have conversations with us. Yeah, I do the quotes because sometimes I think the amount of AI in these softwares is kind of inflated and it's like it's just email and it's just filling out a line of text for you versus being, deeper than that. But regardless, I think if you want as a tech provider to leverage this group Commerce Rewired, please reach out to us. We can help you with your conversation and your pitch to a retailer. Try to find the true value, whether it's measurement or efficiencies in a retailer. So I would encourage you to have that conversation. And same with retailers. If you're looking at a roadmap and building your project roadmap, and you have to decide whether you're going to re-platform, you're going to integrate logistics and into an AI software, any of those type of conversations, reach out to us and we're happy to start having conversations about how we can support your business. To tie one thing in right now is we have a great sponsor, Cattle. Cattle does ratings and reviews, and ratings and reviews is critical for AI and how it indexes you. So make sure you reach out to Cattle, our sponsor. They have made a generous offer as well. If anyone subscribes to our channel, that they would get a free survey done. That's a $2,500 value. So please take advantage of that. Great group. I don't know if I was in marketing right now or anywhere in retail, if I would want to continue the rest of the year without a post check to my customers. I think it's a great opportunity and a missed opportunity if you don't take advantage of it. And that, with that said, is there any last comments, questions from you guys about this topic that we want to make sure that this audience knows before we wrap up?
I think your point on, we've started this Commerce Rewired, which is part podcast, but part like helping businesses and helping brands, and especially in the Canadian market. Your point on like vendors reaching out to us, and we've had a few, which I love, and we're going to get some more, but it's like we can really help you. And just an example, like I mentioned on the AI side, like AI merchandising, in the last week, I've received like 10 pitches on LinkedIn. And for me, if you're listening and you're an AI merchandising company, you're a merchandising company that drives product revenue. Okay? That's how we can help you, and we will help you, because the pitch is wrong. I'll tell you from a brand, the pitch is wrong.
I love that. I love that. And I will say, Chris, I think we have some of the best partners. It was amazing for Cattle to come to the table with that kind of offer. We also have an offer from our partner, LLM Butler, to all of our listeners and anyone who subscribes to our channel. You can run your audit, have a full 12-month subscription. And if you use our promo code Commerce Rewired 20, you'll get 20% off. So I love the partners that are coming. And the one thing I will say is that these are vetted. These are vetted by the four of us. These are partners that we have stress tested. And when we come in and we talk about it under Commerce Rewired, you know that they're good. So I'm excited. I'm excited about who we're bringing to the table and how they're going to continue to impact retail and help all of our retail and brand partners.
Yeah, I think that's a key point. We're not going to do anything that hurts our reputation in the industry. We've been in it too long. We speak at a ton of conferences. Speaking of that, e-tail's coming up in about 3 weeks. Love to see you there. If you're on the retail side and you're going to be there, let us know. We're hosting podcasts live at the event. Love to have you part of our podcasts, and we'll schedule some time together. Also, just like to have a cup of coffee and see how the business is going. We all treat this as a real friendly opportunity. There's a group of us going to dinner on the Sunday night, which is a lot of fun. It's just friends in the industry talking about the industry and catching up. So love to have you guys part of that as well. David, any final words?
Well, try and keep up. Reach out to an expert. People like us are here, right? This is a rare moment in time where a consultant maybe isn't a bad idea. I think consultants often don't earn their keep and they get to leave the room, and you're stuck with the mess that they leave behind. This is a rare moment in time where a little bit of a slingshot helps, gaining some clarity. I mean, there's so many different opinions, there's so many different products, there's so many different pieces of content to acquire, and all of it's a lot of noise. Somebody with the requisite experience is maybe walked in that path before is pretty important in a moment like this. Yeah, but a rare moment where you might want to solicit a little bit of help and talk to somebody that's been through this.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to our sponsors. I forgot to mention Kit and Ace as well for our great apparel. You guys mean a lot to us. We appreciate it. And go check out Cattle, Kit and Ace, Butler. I got that right, Tara. Wicked. That's a tongue twister, to be honest. But I'll get these right as we go on. So thanks, everyone. Pleasure to speak with you this morning, and can't wait to talk about a new subject next week. Thanks. Awesome.